Hello everyone and welcome to the Let's Talk Wrestling podcast. The wrestling podcast where we do review every segment of Raw. My name is Turbo Tony 19. I am your host, and I don't know why I'm adding in the 19. It's my gamer tag, and I use that every now and then, but I just refer to myself as Turbo Tony all the time. It's like the last two episodes, I don't know why, and now I'm mumbling. But regardless of that, we all know that I don't do this alone, ladies and gentlemen. I do not give you the wrestling news of the week and review every segment of Raw on my own. I do it with someone else. You may have heard him laughing already, and I would state to you that Maxellmania is running wild. It's Curtis Maxell.
It was like when you went Maxellmania, like, no.
Now you know where I'm going with
It's happened.
It's happened. It's been there, you know. And let's face it, Curtis Axel isn't going to be relevant for much longer, so fuck it. I need to do this now before I lose the chance.
Quick before everyone forgets.
Yeah, exactly. How are you doing this week, Matt?
Yeah, pretty good. Can't really complain. It's nearly Raw.
It is nearly Raw. If people don't already know. Now, the plan is this week. Now, we're doing this episode way earlier than we've done any other episode in the week. You're getting this out still on... You'll probably maybe even get it out on a Saturday, you know.
Maybe.
But we normally record on a Saturday. We're recording on a Wednesday. And the reason being for that, I fly to England tomorrow, which would be Thursday for you guys. And that's because me and Matt will be seeing next week's Raw live. We're going to be there. So we'll be tweeting and stuff on that. What is the Twitter handle if you want to see pictures of us at Raw, Matt?
Would it be at Talk Wrestle Pod?
You're damn right it would be at Talk.
I think that's the case.
It is. So yeah, we're doing this far earlier in the week. That means that we still got questions from you guys, but some of the questions they made, I know some people leave questions closer to when we do the next episode. That's completely fine, but we'll cover that in the episode after, obviously, because we'll record this before you left that on there. So if you missed your question, we'll catch it next time. Don't worry, we won't miss it. We do have everything that the usual show has. We've got a Raw review. That's right, we've rushed all of Raw. And apologies, I am drinking beer while doing this podcast. I'm getting excited for the England trip coming tomorrow. We've got our wrestling news with a few interesting tidbits of information, a few talking points. We do have our fan feedback, as I stated there before. A fail of the week that includes a man being stabbed 20 times. Oh yeah. Do I have your attention now?
No.
Yeah, exactly. And it involves two names that you would know. So here we go. And also we do have all of Raw that is reviewed. The WrestleMania hype and the awesomeness that has been the last couple of weeks in terms of professional wrestling inside WWE. Obviously that whole blanket's now down. We're in the WrestleMania hangover period. And is it going to be a hangover like it was last year where WWE just didn't seem to know what the fuck they were doing?
Yeah.
However, we've got a packed show for you guys this week. Let's get right into it. Before we do get into our news and everything like that, as I said there before, I do want to just go over some of the stuff that we'll be going forward, in the future. Next week, because we're attending Raw Live, and we will more than likely be recording about Raw, being at Raw Live. We're going to be doing it from the view of being there live, so we can't talk about commentary and stuff like that. And it's going to be a much more open discussion based episodes, not like with the other segments and stuff here. So just to be aware of that in next week's episode, it will be something a little bit different. I think people like the episode that we did it when we were next to each other because it was something different. We can run off each other, and every now and then we like to break the mold of what the usual show likes to bring to you guys. And
that's it. Never a hard thing. I think it's just because, as good as it could be, I don't think sort of to watch it again within the week.
Yeah. Personally, I won't have time. It would just be too busy for me. And at the same time, I'm flying over to see Raw. I am having a holiday as well, so we kind of want to enjoy that as well. And I'm going to go such luxurious places as yourself, Matt. When I had to do that episode alone all those weeks ago, when you went off to the other side of the world, escaping the Bellas feud. But yeah, just to keep you guys in the loop up with that. Another thing that I want to make just a small reference to the fact is, why does everyone at the moment care about Kofi Kingston again? Now, I'm not going to refer to a particular video I did ages ago. I mean, this is fucking a year ago that I did this. Basically outlining the fact, it wasn't, it was quite negative towards Kofi Kingston, but it was a video I did solely, and this is the early days of us rebooting this podcast. And it was about me basically explaining to fans why Kofi Kingston wouldn't win the WWE World Championship. Now, the reason being I made that video is because this was at a time where I think Kofi got a win over Randy Orton or something. Like, he was the champion at the time. And whenever that seemed to happen, everyone got too excited and everyone was going, oh, obviously he's in line, he's going to get a big push. Well, obviously, as we know, his big push amounted to joining the New Day, which I wouldn't really call a push.
Yeah.
There's just been loads of not loads, but some activity on that video the last week or so, and it's just very strange, just randomly. I think it's maybe
You
because
racist.
yeah. Apparently I'm racist, but there you go. I'll put that down there. But you can go and have a look at that as much as you like in regards to that. But I just wanted to make a reference just to there, because some people, I can understand, some people may be fans of Kofi Kingston looking at the video thinking, well, why is he just attacking Kofi Kingston? It was in reference to a lot of fans stating that Kofi was going to get a big push and possibly a title run. I was just like, that's completely ludicrous. And it's just as ludicrous now as it is then. Him turning heel makes no difference. But let's get into the stuff this week, Matt. I don't want to talk too much about Kofi Kingston, you know. Everyone knows
We'll have to.
We'll have to a little bit, yeah, because this week I enjoyed Kofi Kingston. Wow.
Oh?
Wow, how about that for a shocker? Whew. Anyway, news. Here's some news for you. Now, the majority of this revolve around certain rumours and stuff that have been going around, but they have been backed up by reportable sources. So don't take all of them for gospel. You know, I've reached a little bit further this week because of the less amount of time. It's only been a couple of days since our last episode. But here we go. As far as we have heard, that management in WWE are trying to fill the AJ Lee void in the Divas division. Apparently their first go-to will be trying to see if their current roster can, you know, take that void.
Step up.
Step up, yeah. And apparently if that fails to work, which as we know, some of their talent is pretty much destined to fail to work, regardless of how many videos I see of Eva Marie having one snap suplex on Brian Kendrick. Sorry. It would take a little bit more to convince me, okay? But apparently if that doesn't work, they will go to the NXT roster. Yeah. Which, for us, means we get to see Charlotte and possibly the boss, Sasha Banks, on the main roster. Your thoughts on this, Matt? I mean, obviously they do need to fill this void.
Yeah, sort of. Kind of hard not to, wouldn't it? So, like... But... It's tough because I don't know if AJ really... I don't know if AJ really left the void.
I think she absolutely did.
Well, yeah, but... I mean, recently we've been seeing a lot of improvement in the current Divas division. Like, I never thought I would say it, but I really enjoyed the triple threat match involving Nikki Bella. So I was like, nah, Nikki's going to stink it.
Yeah.
And there's been some improvements. I will admit, I will much rather watch a Charlotte Sasha Banks match, but I don't know if rushing it's the right idea.
Yeah, at the end of the day, Charlotte's coming up anyway. She wouldn't have been.
Rumors are they might be at the on Raw.
No, which we will fucking mark out for that shit, won't we? Jesus Christ. But yeah, AJ Lee did fill a void, but I don't think you can replace the void she left with another AJ Lee. The ideal way for them to fill the AJ Lee void is with lots of good talent and to make a good roster out of it. And you know what? We've nicknamed it Bizarro World here, stating that the Divas have been in Bizarro World because for some reason the switch has already turned. I'm not convinced yet because it's just so soon after all this stuff came up, and they seem to love saying the give Divas a chance stuff. We'll see how long it really lasts. But yeah, I'm with you, Matt. The last couple of weeks in terms of Divas matches, well, they're wow, and when you look at what we had before, just on a completely different level. I mean, we could even call the matches they had before matches some weeks.
Yeah, exactly.
So, like, now we've got the point of, now they're not just only matches, but they're good matches, you know, so we can actually enjoy them. But Charlotte's coming up anyway. We know that. She's on this, what was it, the tap out fucking adverts that they're doing now.
Yeah.
So you know that she's going to be coming up soon. She's the only NXT talent that's on there. She hasn't even been on NXT that much, so I do expect her to debut soon. It's just right, to be honest. And Sasha Banks, maybe not yet, but I mean, if they're desperate for her, then she's ready. She is ready for that. But she's the only two in NXT at the moment that I think are ready. And you might say Bayley, she could go up.
I wouldn't say Bayley's ready.
I don't think Bayley's ready. And it's not so much her talent, I just think in terms of her character isn't ready, in terms of she needs a little bit more time in NXT to she's got an ongoing story at the moment which should establish her as a more credible competitor.
I fear that if Bayley was to come up to the main roster now, I reckon it would get an Emma treatment, where I just thought, like, it worked in NXT, but no, not so much now.
Don't you think that's ironic that she's feuding with Emma at the moment? And you say,
yeah.
No, I agree with you. I think it's part of me thinks that they wouldn't know how to market Bayley that well. And to be honest, you should just make her the female John Cena. You should market her completely for the demographic of little girls. Absolutely. Yeah. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes for there. But Charlotte, Sasha Banks, throw them up. They're ready. They could do it. Sasha Banks, to me, I think is now, man. All these superlatives we said about Charlotte, since we've been reviewing NXT much more regularly. I would say Sasha Banks is right there with her. I really do think that two of them are just as good as one another, and that's huge praise for the pair of them because we very, very. I'm trying to think. I don't want to say hot because it makes it sound like we're perverted. We're hot for Charlotte. We're hot for Sasha Banks. It just makes it seem wrong. But that's the news there anyway. And you will see WWE trying a few things. It's Battle Royale next week in London. I just hope it ain't a clusterfuck. But regardless, hopefully we'll see Charlotte debut and we'll be happy with that.
That's it.
Now we want to basically give you a bit of update. And dispel a few rumours, because there's been a lot of stuff going around in regards to Chris Jericho doing the podcast with Cena this week. We will cover that as well. But apparently, the rumours circulating around that the reason that happened is because Steve Austin and Vince McMahon are not happy with one another. And apparently, there's a rift between the two.
Yeah, apparently he no-showed at Mania.
Yeah. By the way, all this stuff before I get people tapping, Austin already said this. Yeah, we know that. We're getting to that, so don't worry. Yeah, the rumors were, right, before anyone starts, the rumors were that they weren't happy. As you said there, Matt, he no-showed at Mania, and he had hotel rooms booked for him. He no-showed at the Hall of Fame, and Vince is unhappy with the things that he asked Triple H in the interview, which is ludicrous because Triple H even asked for the interview to be extended a little while during that interview. And all this other stuff, right? Austin came out on his podcast and basically said that's all bullshit. So it's a no issue for me. The only reason I bring it up this week is because it seemed like these rumours were kind of getting out of hand to me. And people saying, he's definitely not going to come back for WrestleMania 32, which I think WWE's trying to go all, balls deep on that show. And a lot of people saying, well, the way to get balls deep on that show is get Austin on that show. Huge draw, hasn't been around for ages. Not so sure about that, but this whole stuff is just lollygagging. I didn't even know that much in terms of whether or not it was legit when it started coming up last week. But it just seemed like fans are still coming on about all these stories. And if there's anything that Austin's not making any reference to it, and if he's not making any reference to it, then to me there's no story to be had. Yeah. There we are. Are you on the same sort of thought track? I mean, there's not really...
Yeah, I can't really think... There's nothing really left to say about it. It's sort of like, Vince is angry, and Steve Austin's apparently no-showed, and whatever, really.
I would not see Austin no-showing a WWE thing that he showed to again. He's already been down that path, and he regrets it.
Yeah.
The one thing he regrets throughout all of his career is no-showing when he was booked to be on a match. And he hates it to this day. It's one thing he always says that he regrets doing it. Here we go. Last bit on the news. Did you watch the Jericho podcast with Cena?
I haven't yet, no.
No, I have. I watched it.
That might be... I think that's probably going to be fit for me tonight.
Yeah. Well, there was a lot of stuff going around about this beforehand, saying that Jericho would do the podcast. He'd be too company-friendly and all these lot, and... he wouldn't ask the questions that needed to be asked. The two main questions that kind of he put forward was the steroids question, which I firmly believe was the wrong question to ask. You can ask steroids all you like, but I mean, John Cena's hardly going to go out and say on public that
definitely.
I take roids. Yeah, I don't think he's taking steroids either.
Roids, love them.
Yeah.
I don't think we'll get that.
Now, that's not saying that I don't think a few of their talent have taken steroids. I firmly believe Triple H at some point in his career has taken steroids. You listen to Sting, right? He hasn't taken steroids in a while, but he openly admits in the start of his career he took steroids. Part of the culture. The majority of wrestlers did. So
It's back the time when.
Yeah.
That's it. It's sort of like it was an acceptable thing to be bigger than they can.
Yeah, I mean, come on, guys. Hogan took steroids, Warrior took steroids. God bless his heart. He's passed on. But it's not like we're singling them out. Everyone took steroids back in those days. You had to be honest, to a degree, because then you had to be a jacked up dude, right? Things have changed now, and obviously for the better. Is Cena on steroids? I don't see that happening. I just think he's a dedicated guy who knows how best to keep his body at a certain weight.
That's it.
Cena's been his weight since he started. You can tell, like Triple H at times, you can tell from his body that he shrinks a little bit every now and then. That's a sign of someone taking steroids at some point in their career, right? Cena, he's just been as he is all the way through, and he says that in this, and I firmly believe him. I don't think Cena's taken steroids, but there we are. The other one as well was, will you ever go heel? And that was one of the big questions. Yeah, he essentially has said everything that we already knew. Well, one of the things he said that he wouldn't mind going heel, but he wouldn't want to sacrifice the looks on children's faces that he gets from being a babyface, essentially along those lines. Part of the reason, and I want to explain this again to listeners, part of the reason that Hulk Hogan went heel was because there was competition, right? And they were looking for a big, shocking segment that would revitalize Hogan's career, because he was as stale as Cena, is in this sense. But what is the one thing WWE doesn't have anymore? Competition. They can play it safe. So
like, what we're going to do? What does it matter what we do?
Yeah, like, at the end of the day, they're not going to take the risk. It was risky turning Hogan heel. It was risky. It was a great move, but it was risky. WWE aren't happy with taking that risk, because there's no reason to in their eyes, because they don't have any need to take a risk. They're doing fine, regardless of how cool it would be to see Cena finally fly off the handle and all this lot. But I mean, we knew all this before. We said before, Cena's never going heel. Never, ever, ever. He's never going heel.
Yeah.
Now, this wasn't particularly a controversial podcast. There wasn't that many hard-hitting questions asked by Jericho, but not every single podcast done under the WWE banner needs to be controversial. The fact is that even if he asked those questions, it would end up looking bad on Jericho, because Cena's not going to answer them. He's going to do the corporate dance around, which he's been taught very well, might I add. But there's just no point in him doing that at the end of the day. So I certainly don't have anything against him. It wasn't as entertaining, I think, as the first two, but it's still okay. It's still worth watching. I'm still happy with that being part of the network. But
that's right then. So I have reason to look forward.
Yeah, but some people will think, they have to ask the big questions. No, they don't have to in every podcast. It could be an entertaining podcast like asking those questions. I think that Jericho was trying to make it controversial, but the questions he asked weren't really hitting that mark for me. But that's okay. Don't have too much of that.
Well, there's one Jericho one I listened to recently that I really enjoyed, which was him and Daniel Bryan.
Yeah, but that was outside the WWE banner, wasn't it? So.
It was the one a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
It's like with Jericho. It's like, okay, yeah, maybe this one may be under the WWE banner, but I think I prefer Jericho's podcasting. Hopefully is it still sort of true to his way of doing things, or is it like, WWE has touched this?
Yeah, well, it's under their banner anyway, but I know Jericho wants to keep it good, because, he may be doing more podcasts like these for them. He might even come back and wrestle sometime. He just doesn't seem to age, does Jericho, in terms of his in-ring ability anyway, so who knows?
He goes on about DDP yoga enough, so I guess that's...
Yeah!
It truly is the secret.
It's the fountain of youth in yoga. That's exactly what it is. But yeah, just wanted to leave a few references to that podcast there. It is worth a watch, but don't go in there expecting there to be stuff like China was asked, and all that sort of thing. People won't be talking about this podcast as much as they were talking about Austin's first two. That's just the honest thing. But there we are. Okay, let's get to our fan feedback. A few interesting questions that we have here, and a few feedback from some of your comments as well. First is from Fistful of Woolongs, who talks... first of all, he's talking about Neville having his match with Seth Rollins on Raw this week. being fed to the world champion in only his second week on the main roster. And it says that he hopes that they fully utilize his character. Now, obviously, we're going to talk about this a little bit later. I do want to make some sort of reference to it now. But I do get the feeling, a little bit, that WWE doesn't really know what to do with Neville long term.
But I wouldn't see it as a feeding.
No.
I don't think he was like fed to Rollins. Like the one thing I quite liked about the whole thing is, if anything, it gave the opportunity to show him off.
It did.
Just like, this is what he can do.
I would argue saying that it was a match that didn't need to be made. There was plenty of people that Rollins could have beaten. And yet, while, it would have been along those lines, that, it was a good showing by Neville managed to show his stuff. And he doesn't need to come in undefeated. Not every debuting star needs to come in undefeated, for an inordinate amount of time. But I don't think that match should have been booked. And we're going to talk about that a little bit later, obviously, in the Raw review. I just think there was no reason to have this match. It was almost a little bit of a no-win situation where you could have done a win-win situation, doing it just a little bit differently, But we'll talk about that going on. And I don't mean have Neville beat Rollins. Absolutely not. No, you shouldn't have Rollins losing matches. Definitely not. Especially the rising new talent coming in.
Yeah, I was going to say, we've been having Rollins lose a lot of matches.
Yeah, right. But this match shouldn't have happened. They shouldn't have booked it. In my honest opinion, they shouldn't have booked it. But there we are. We'll talk about it a little bit more later on, because I want to talk about the way that Neville's being presented this week, because there was a little bit more added to his entrance, to the way he's being announced, and all this sort of stuff. So, Robert Chapman says he's unhappy with this week's Raw, which was in his hometown, Texas. A good old Texan listener here. I do want to go to Texas sometime. I do want to. Tell me a great steak I can have in Texas, Robert, and I will. I know Matt will be on that shit like in seconds.
Steak?
We fucking love steak. That's what we want. And I tell you what, you should go to. If you tell us if you've got any plans to go to Mania, obviously being in Dallas, maybe. Let's hope that that Raw favours a little bit better for us in our homeland next week, shall we say? Hopefully, not anything against yourself, but hopefully next week it's better for both of us. We'll be there live. You can watch it on TV, and both of us will enjoy it. And hopefully next time they go to your neck of the woods, they'll put on a better show. But we'll go from there. Kane St. Dennis asks if it would be better if the current Raw roster was immediately switched with the NXT roster, and he says that in his belief, he doesn't think it would be any better. My assessment is, and I'm pretty sure Matt would have the same response to me on this, or he could be shocked, is I completely agree with your assessment. I think it would be horrific. And, we've put over NXT talent a lot, but first of all, that NXT talent is used to doing 1 hour shows, and there's still developmental talent. Wrestling in front of, a very small amount of crowd in Full Sail University isn't the same as wrestling in a big crowd, And there's a few guys out there that would absolutely take that ball and run with it, you've got a lot of talent there that would just falter, I think you named a few people like Ty Dillinger and all this lot. Yeah, these are the kind of people that are in NXT for a reason. Imagine if you've got Becky Lynch or Alexa Bliss, right? They're good upstart talents. You throw them onto the main roster, they'll just get gobbled up at the moment. They'll get eaten alive.
You don't think Lady Sparkles could do it?
No. Not yet. But that's why they're in NXT. That's the point of it, isn't it? That's why it's there. The way they're doing it at the moment is the right idea. You put a few new guys in, so you can bleed them in once they're ready, once they've got all that talent. But one of the other things as well, I mean, if you were to switch the talent pools over, you've got all these new NXT talents suddenly on Raw. Do you really think that creative are going to know how to use each of these new guys to the best of their ability?
Well, my one thing about it is I wouldn't do it because you've got people on the main roster that they were throwing the term around so much, like last year's Mania, but the face of the WWE. It's the fact it's like, it's now hit a point where everyone's like, that's Kane, that's Big Show, that's Randy Orton. Even people who haven't watched it in years.
Yeah.
Everyone knows who everyone is on the main roster, at least. But then it's just like, and Raw. And like, I don't know who anyone is at all.
I'm not saying that these guys couldn't draw. They need to be slowly introduced. Vignettes.
They can draw on like they could draw when brought in, but they can't draw like, you can just have NXT just go, right, we're NXT. We are now the main show. Here I am.
Yeah. No, it doesn't work. And even if they were going to go on a long-term plan to try and replace all these talent, which won't happen, by the way, this is all fantasy stuff. But even if they were, still not a good idea. Because, we may dislike John Cena. We're bored of John Cena, but he's there for a reason. He still puts, the coin term, he puts butts in seats,
Yeah.
He hasn't done the good for any rising star, which I think he should be, but he is a huge name, and he's the guy on all the packs, he's the guy on all the mugs, and hopefully in the future, we'll be, 5 years in the future, we'll be looking at it, and John Cena won't be the guy on all the caps, he won't be on all the backpacks, but you'll have the guys like Neville, Balor, Owens. These sort of guys will be on the backpacks because they'll be the huge stars, but it takes time. Look at Seth Rollins at the moment, right? New WWE World Heavyweight Champion, who outright deserves it. It's been a long time since he first debuted with the Shield, let alone when he first came into WWE under the NXT banner.
Yeah, or even FCW.
Yeah, his path is exactly what WWE should strive to achieve with all of their rising talent. He got a couple of years on the roster, broke out as a singles competitor, thrived under that, and was obviously their next choice to carry the flag forward for now. I think that blueprint is pretty much what they should try and emulate all the way going forward. It's worked once. Don't try and break what's not, try and fix what's not broken. It works, in that most lights. But, I agree with your assessment here that, no, it wouldn't be any better. It would be a catastrophe.
I think Raw would be worse off if that were the case.
It would be worse off. Definitely. And we're big fans of NXT. It's just, it wouldn't work.
I mean, I think that's partly why I struggled even getting into TNA or anything, or any other company, is the fact that sort of like, I don't know who these people are.
Yeah, well, with me, with TNA, I know we've got fans here, TNA fans, I feel so bad saying negative stuff about them, but everyone knows our thoughts on them. But yeah, you get it right. Like if let's say my brother, right? I always bring him up because he doesn't watch wrestling anymore, but he does know who John Cena is, right? So if he's going to watch a wrestling show, he's going to type in wrestling. He's going to go to where John Cena or Randy Orton or The Undertaker work at. He's not going to go to where Magnus is. That's not going to cross his mind. But if you switch that over, then obviously you've got some of that problem. It's irrelevant anyway. Obviously, it would never happen. But it's obviously in regards to the question there. But yeah, I get what you mean there. But yeah, it like I said, I think it would be a catastrophe. I think you'd have a lot of new guys there in a new environment all this time, 3 hours to fill with. It would cause a lot of problems. But
I'd hate to see Baron Corbin on a 3-hour show at the moment.
I
love Corbin. I like Corbin. I'm a fan of Baron Corbin's, but on a 3-hour show, he just doesn't have it at the moment.
No. I mean, you could have a squash match, but it's going to be like we now need a little bit more out of you. And
yeah,
there we go. Subscriber 241, who by the way has said that number isn't from our podcast. I was very sad to hear that, unfortunately. Asks whether WWE should take out a championship. Now we've talked about their lineup of titles. I think the rumours are, funny enough, because we had a question about this recently about why there isn't Divas tag titles. Apparently rumours are there will be Divas tag titles soon.
Apparently loads of belts are getting a facelift.
Yeah, apparently, if that is the case, I have got no idea who thought of that, and it won't last. It won't. It absolutely won't last. But if they were to take out a title, then they should amalgamate the US and the IC. That's the way it should be.
I mean, I think at the moment they're actually doing a really good job in. It's like, we're just like going on about they need to raise the prestige of these belts, and actually recently I think they've been doing quite a good job.
Listen, we have to call it like we see it. We rag on WWE, but at very least with the US belt, we've seen how it is matches the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
I can't say anything negative against that sort of train.
Like, if this question had come up like a few months back, then I'd have been like, just drop the IC belt. At least Rusev was bringing something to the US belt.
Yeah.
But now it's sort of like, and then obviously, then we had the weeks of like hot potato with the IC belt. But now it's sort of like, oh, it's actually in a good place.
Yeah.
I wouldn't lose anything.
The thing is that I'd say that I would still merge the belts, right, eventually, because you look at the two people that have fought John Cena over the last 2 weeks are people that competed in an Intercontinental title ladder match. So it just seems like in that division, if you could call it
but
that.
But how do we know if that Ambrose fought in the IC ladder match?
Yeah, it could have been a different clone, of course, yeah. But what I'm getting at here is that it's still like, oh, if I don't win the IC belt, I just go for the US. If I don't win the US title, I'll just go for
the IC. Yeah.
They need to get rid of that track of thought, in regards to that. So, yeah, merge the two belts, happy with that. Get 4 belts on your show, no issue with that. Divas tag titles, absolutely fucking not. Whoever comes up with that idea should just look at themselves and say, well, first of all, we need to fix the Divas division we have before we even decide on putting something that stressful on that division. It's just, I don't know why.
Yeah.
I think that's an absolutely moronic idea. I really do. But there we are. Fail of the week. I talked about stabbing at the start of this show, and you've been eager, Matt. I can.
So when you're like stabbing, I was like, I wouldn't call like Taker stabbing Lesnar a fail.
No, it's not that. I'm talking about an incident that occurred between two wrestlers that involved one of them being stabbed close to or around about 20 times with scissors. Some people may have guessed this already. If you are, then I applaud you on your wrestling knowledge. And the person doing it also got stabbed 4 times in the kerfuffle. And this happened in, the 90s. This isn't back in the I say back in the 90s. It's still 20 years ago. That makes me feel really old.
Yeah.
Do you want to know the story, Matt? Do you want to know who was involved? Who got stabbed? You do, don't you? You do. Don't you?
It's haunting me now.
Okay, I'll tell you.
I was like,
and I wanted to bring this up because this happened on a UK tour, right? A UK tour that the WCW, yeah, it is a WCW fail again, guys, I know. WCW UK tour, and Sid Vicious, you know him. Arn Anderson, you know him. Everyone knows who those two guys are.
Yeah. Sid
Vicious apparently took exception to something that was done by Arn Anderson, or said by Arn Anderson, and decided, you know what, I really think I should stab this guy with a pair of scissors. So he does, a lot of times, and actually gets himself like scratched and grazed and stabbed himself. So he attacks Arn Anderson with some scissors on a UK tour, and they both get stabbed really badly to the point that the pair of them were hospitalised. Yeah? A lot of people don't realise this happened, because Sid went on to have a career after this. He was on Raw recently. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Powerbombed Heath Slater. I know it was not that recently, but it was still recent-ish,
Yeah.
And Arn, we all know him. He was the victim in this, but yeah, he's been around, and it's not something that not a lot of people actually know this happened. And the reason being is because back then you didn't have the internet. You didn't have the dirt sheet. Well, you did have the dirt sheets, but they weren't readily accessed by the company.
You had to hunt for the dirt sheets.
And this was dealt with, behind closed doors in regards to that. But it did come out. And the part of this that's funny is that Sid was actually due to go on and win the WCW belt. He was planned to do so against Big Van Vader, I believe, right? But obviously with this, with all the wrestlers saying, well, if he's not released, we're all going to walk, they released him, and they had Ric Flair have the match instead.
Yeah.
Now, one part of this as well, which continues the fail on WCW's front, because they rehired Sid back, I believe, or something like that later on the line. Yeah, I'm definitely sure they did.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they did.
Because, now if you stab someone with scissors, fuck me. Man, WWE wouldn't touch you back then. Nah, it's okay. It's alright, especially WCW. So, yeah, there was a segment later on. This is in the middle of the Monday Night Wars. And Eric Bischoff drops the joke. He references it. He references it on television. He's like, let's make sure that no one's got a pair of scissors or something like that to Sid.
Yeah.
And obviously, back then, no one knew this had happened. So no one laughed or made any reaction. Eric Bischoff, thinking that maybe they didn't hear him, said it twice. He said it again to no reaction. Because back then, no one had...
no one knew.
No one knew. Yeah, exactly. Whereas now it would be everywhere. But yeah, there was an incident which Sid Vicious stabbed Arn Anderson with a pair of scissors. Yeah.
Fucking golden.
Imagine if that happened now, right? That would be our news story of the year. Back then, it was like, oh, we'll just hire him back in a couple of years. It's fine. He'll be alright.
Yeah, not a problem.
It's just crazy. It's quite... I say funny, I mean, obviously, thank God Arn is okay, along those lines. But yeah, things back then. Imagine if we had the internet back at those times and dirt sheets were going around. Jesus Christ, the stories we would hear, it would be mental. Yeah, that would be crazy. It really would be.
To be fair, the ones that would just be coming out of the WCW camp alone.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's my fail of the week. Remember, guys, don't run with scissors and try not to stab, people that you work with. Don't endorse that on this show.
No stabbing your fellow man.
It's not so much a fail of the week, more of being an idiot of the week back then. But he was a hot-tempered man, but still. Anyway, or people might say, well, he was Psycho Sid, and
whoa,
and then you would win bad joke of the week for that. Okay, are you proud of that? You're just like me and Matt on our Raw reviews. We give bad jokes. Okay. Right, so we get into our Raw review this week. So just catching on with my notes here. I think the beer is getting to me, people. I've had a few right now, and I'm opening up another. I do apologise if I'm enjoying this podcast even more than I usually do. I'm sure if I pass out, Matt will continue it for you all there.
Try and carry on.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Over your snoring.
Over my snoring, yeah, just mumbling, and all that lot, yeah. So
I'll just call your wife and just stay. Get coffee.
I'd just be hungover doing it. So yeah, the Raw review. This is what I would state the first of many Raws after the WrestleMania season. The hangover is in. And I would state WWE, in terms of WrestleMania and the Raw after, is probably the two best shows. Oh, I'm not going to say probably. Definitely their best two shows of the year so far. So yeah, I would definitely say that Raw and Mania were their best two shows of the year.
Easily, yeah.
By far. I would definitely feel safe in that assumption. So yeah, they were on some momentum. Could they carry it into Extreme Rules? That was the big statement to be made here. Could they actually, use all this momentum, go forward and create another exemplary pay-per-view show afterwards, which, history would dictate. Normally they can't.
Probably not.
Yeah, normally they can't. So, yeah, this was obviously took place in, our fan Robert Chapman's neck of the woods. The University of Texas is where the event took place. And Michael Cole isn't on the show this week, thank God. I did say that if he would show up, even... I would accept maybe a neck brace, but even then I'm stretching it. He wasn't there this week. Byron Saxton was still on commentary, so it seemed he wasn't completely shit-canned after last week's dreadful performance.
I don't know about that. I have heard whisperings.
Yeah, I've heard that Vince ain't happy with the guy. But at the very least, he got a chance to... Second chance,
Second chance with a full commentary team.
Yeah, exactly. Which he did fare a little bit better. It was too awkward at times. But he still had Booker T and JBL kind of being nonsensical by the side of him. But in terms of Byron Saxton's work, I don't think he particularly impressed, but he wasn't nearly as bad as he was last week. He was serviceable. He was fine.
That's it.
So, Triple H, Stephanie McMahon are off this week. Obviously, no Sting, no Brock Lesnar, no Paul Heyman this week, which is a big miss. And, yeah, you take a lot of those pieces out of Raw, and the show felt very, very empty this week. Extremely so. And it reeked of, get ready for it, mid-monther syndrome. MMS, as we'll call it going forward. Yeah, it just feels very, very, very empty. And so, we have stuff negative to say about Triple H and Steph. Sure, we do. But there's still huge characters in parts of the show. So when they're not there and you've got all these other guys not involved, it does feel a little bit like the show is tailing off. It had that feel of it from the get-go. However, that doesn't stop it. With Triple H and Stephanie McMahon not at Raw this week, it doesn't stop the Authority from starting the show. No, you're damn right they're starting that show. They're there every opening segment, and I'm just excited.
It's our spot, damn it.
They take it. It starts off basically, Seth is basically narrating, over what's happened. The crowd keep cutting him off, but he's kind of inflating his ego, saying they're just jealous to be, jealous of me and all my success and all this lot. He sends his well wishes to Stephanie and Trips. We hope that in the future, because Stephanie and Triple H are apparently on vacation, away from any cell phone reception, we hope eventually that the Authority angle itself can go on permanent vacation, and that way we can just leave it there, somewhere sunny, we can do whatever thing, we can actually move on from the storyline we've had for the better part of 2 years.
Yeah.
Who knows, maybe they'll go on vacation to parts unknown. Maybe we can finally realise where that place is.
It's like, finally, we know. It's just the depths.
Just the depths of somewhere. It's
dragged away.
It's just in the sea somewhere, It's just something so basically, Seth's saying here, don't you realise at WrestleMania that any match that the Authority were involved in, we won the match. If it was, Seth did lose to Orton, but he walked out the champion. I'd count that as a WrestleMania overall win for the guy.
Yeah.
Triple H won. Big Show won his match, even though Kane was involved. But an Authority match
and won. Kane was there.
Yeah, he was Kane. Yeah, that's it. So yeah, the Authority pretty much had a good WrestleMania, which you think. Hopefully they were winding all this down and they wouldn't have such a good WrestleMania. But the Authority angle's still going strong, obviously, until hopefully Brock Lesnar feasts upon it. But there we are. Big Show takes the mic, basically feeding his own ego, saying he's always been bigger and better than Andre the Giant. And you know what he does next, Matt? You know what he does next? He places his tongue firmly upon the anus of Seth Rollins. And you know what? He wiggles it around in there, gets right up in there. Oh, he goes for it, doesn't he?
Oh, you're taking it far, man.
I am taking it a bit far here, but you get what I'm saying here. He was pretty much kissing a guy's ass.
Oh, yeah.
Getting right up in there. Just that visual, that's quite disturbing, actually. Shameless pay-per-view plot.
Oh, it's like Big Show trying to get the last bit of pudding out.
No. Okay, I took it somewhere. You just no. I tap out right there. Too far. I know. We've got a few fans at the moment just cringing. I really don't want to think of that, you bastards. So, to follow on from that fantastic vocal performance, Kane gets on the mic for completing what is around about 10 minutes of just ego buffering. And he basically says, while the Authority, Stephanie and Trips are gone, I'm in control this week. Orton comes out, says, well, as I beat you, I deserve a title match. And Kane says, well, I'll make a triple threat match for the number one contendership later on in the show between Reigns, Ryback, and Orton. All of which upsets Rollins because he thought, how Lesnar did it, that he wouldn't have to defend the title once every month.
Defend?
Yeah. I mean, he won it at Mania. Surely then, 3 months from now, he has a title defense.
That's it.
Yeah, I'd be pissed if I was him. He says that...
Stitched?
Yeah, isn't it? Yeah. There we are. He also says that all 3 men will wrestle in singles matches throughout the show, so they'll all be doing double duty. Orton is up first against Kane. And yeah, you know what? This segment set up a decent skeleton of the show, but that doesn't excuse it for being, in its vast majority, immensely boring.
Yeah.
It was... How many times have we seen Seth Rollins out there, all the Authority guys around him, kind of stroking his ego? I know that's what a heel does, but you're essentially doing the same thing over and over. Find different ways to stroke your ego. Let's get along those lines. And it was not a great way. Last week we had Brock Lesnar coming out on the show telling he's going to kill everyone if he doesn't get a WWE title match. And you got Paul Heyman out there delivering a badass promo. This week we've got Seth Rollins telling us all the stuff that we've heard already loads of times before. And then we get Big Show and Kane on the mic. It's hardly... we don't really care. Let's just be honest.
No.
It sets up the show. Whatever.
Can take it or leave it now.
Yeah. You just stack this opening of the show up next to last week, and that's pretty much the story of the quality of both Raws. Last week was must watch. This week, not so much. Let's just say that. I don't want to. I just want to say this before we continue. I don't want to obviously dawdle on this one thing too much, but I'm pretty sure we've had this exact same segment before from opening the show. Pretty sure we've had it. Where they've had it at the start of the show, they've all been in the ring, they're just kind of stroking Rollins' ego. Hell, I think even they did it before Orton turned. It's that soon, that it's just when Orton came back, just leading up to WrestleMania, and they had the same segment where they're all stroking each other's ego and standing in the ring, spouting tons of exposition, which we don't really need to hear, and it's just they're doing it again.
That's it. Oh, it's like, don't we just love each other? No.
But yeah, they're. It's pretty much a tongue and butthole race that they're doing here.
Yeah.
I just love that statement, and it's one of the oldest ones, catchphrases that we have, that I just use any excuse to bring it up. Exactly.
Just to mention tongues and arses.
Tongues and arses. You got tongues and arses. Humdinger is another one. People like us when we say humdinger. So, moving on from such shameless pay-per-view plots. Kane against Randy Orton. Booker T says that Kane versus Orton could main event any show in the world. I agree. It could main event any show in the world. Doesn't mean that anyone would really care about it.
Yeah, it could.
It could.
Don't know why it should.
Yeah. You have to remember these guys had a WrestleMania match against each other. I can't remember it. Don't think many people cared about it then. So sure, it can. Just won't be that interesting. This match doesn't last very long. Kane hits Orton with a steel chair. Tries to choke slam him into the chair, but fails in doing so. And commentary tried to tell us that Orton isn't going to be 100% for the match later on in the show. And to be honest, I didn't really care for that statement, considering all their lack of care of trying to sell injuries or beatings over the last year. Having to be honest, Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose, even John Cena to a certain extent, just hopping out after a beating, just doing that sort of stuff.
Just after hellacious matches. Yep, all good.
It makes it a little hard for me to care about any sort of injuries that they have going forward. Hard for me to get invested. If someone gets their leg crushed by a fucking gargantuan meteorite, right, in one episode of Raw, I wouldn't be beyond it. I'm not going to care that much because I'm thinking they're going to hop out next week of Raw. They're going to hop down to the ring just to show on their supposed leg that was crushed, just to show how it's fine and it's not a problem.
Yeah.
It's just that sort of thing. I'm obviously over exaggerating, but you get my point. Brad Maddox shows up backstage for all of maybe a second, possibly.
Yeah, like if you blink, you'll miss him.
Exactly. But yeah, I don't know where he's been. I don't know why the hell he's relevant. Obviously he's not, because he was gone pretty much as quickly as he was there. Rollins barges in and Brad Maddox makes himself fairly scarce. I wonder if he got paid for that appearance. If he did, good on him, because he fucking did nothing. So there's that. I'm not exactly foaming at the mouth for Brad Maddox segments. Don't get me wrong. I'm not exactly crying at the fact he's on the show, but still. Rollins is angry at Kane for what he said earlier on in the show, in terms of setting up that number one contender. And Kane just reminds him that he wouldn't even be champion without Kane helping him win the Money in the Bank briefcase, which, fair enough. At least they're remembering their storylines at very least.
Yeah, exactly.
Rollins says that when Trips and Stephanie get back, Kane will have a lot to answer for. And pretty much, when you think, okay, fair enough, that segment ends, Rollins comes back and they just chat a little bit more. The segment went on way too long. But he sets up the Rollins match for next, which obviously is the match that we were talking about earlier on. It just seemed to me this week, and this is one of the segments that showed me of it, that they were struggling to fill the time that they had. It reeked of that, in my opinion. But there we are. Rollins against Neville. Now I wonder who decided it was a good idea to have this match now. And I said earlier on, this match shouldn't have been booked. These guys don't need to be near each other. They don't need to be close. They shouldn't be having any wrestling matches against each other yet. There is no need for it. And let's talk about Neville's style of entrance. They are definitely trying to get over the superhero
They've
style.
changed it. I don't get it.
So
Even
now,
the guy is like, huh? What? Why? It's like, why is there smoke going? There was pyros last week. What's going on here?
Not only that, they actually have like a little bit just before he comes out with like what seems like a shooting star or something that's flying into Earth like Superman style, and then
Yeah.
Neville comes out from there. They definitely are trying to get the superhero angle on this guy, which they're trying to make him as the superhero, the man who that gravity forgot. I don't like it. I don't like the way they're going with it. I think it's too gimmicky for a guy that doesn't need that. Yeah, I think he was fine as he was. People may say you might need it to, to get himself, some sort of credibility, not credibility, but uniqueness. Stand out from the crowd. I would argue this isn't the way to go.
No,
that's just my opinion.
He doesn't need to stand out for the crowd when suddenly it's like, oh, loads of people have started watching NXT.
Yeah. I don't like the cape. I said it last week. I'm not that sure on it. Don't like it. Don't like the cape.
I still don't mind it.
I don't like it. And so far, the way they're going with him isn't like, oh, they've totally ruined him already. No, I'm not saying that at all. In fact, he's okay. But I don't like the way he's being presented. That's just my opinion. I know some people do like. I know you don't mind it, Matt, to an extent.
Yeah, I like it.
But I just don't believe that this is a match that you should have booked between Neville and the champion. Because there's only two ways it's going to end. You could have a good showing by Neville and lose, which is probably the best way to do it, and that's why they did it. You could have Seth just outright beat him easy, or you could have Neville beat the champion, which is two completely different scenarios I don't want any part of.
Yeah.
So, or you could have Seth get annoyed and DQ himself, which is just the same as him losing. That's just stupid in my mind. But yeah, Neville had a good showing. He showed off a lot of his moves here. They definitely put it over as this is a match of a good competitive nature. But still, I would not have booked the match. There's no reason for these two guys to be put against each other. Neville just needs a couple of more wins under his belt. It's just too soon. He just needs a couple of wins, put him up against different guys, gets the win, showcases his abilities, and then maybe you have the match where he could go against Rollins, and you could really build up that. Neville now has a couple of wins under his belt. He's got some good steam under him, and you could get beaten. I just think it was just a little bit too soon, if at all, to have this. So, I know you're much more favourable on it than I
am. I could agree with you with sort of like whether he should have lost, but no, I quite like the fact that sort of like that this is Neville and this is what he can do. Like we saw him against Curtis Axel, but again, that was Curtis Axel. It's like if we put him against someone like a bit more competent in the form of your champion, then it sort of allows for a bit more of a show off.
Yeah, and obviously you can show that he can hang with the champ. I don't know. I go a little bit more old school reign of thought, and it's not as bad as I'm making it out to be. Neville's fine. I don't like the way he's being dealt with, but even then I can state he's okay so far.
I mean, if anything, I'm just hoping that we can now get ourselves some Neville merch.
Yeah.
Well, fucking better, dude. There better be some Neville merch on that counter. Otherwise, it's like, yeah, we're here for the UK tour. Can we get merchandise for a UK guy? No.
I know. I won't be that much in line for Neville gear because I just don't like the whole logo and the whole deal. To be honest, just not a fan of it. But now, if they got, like I said, if they got Finn Balor shirts there, I will sign myself up for one of them on the spot. I will be getting one of them. So, yeah, this match, as we said before, is a good match. It is entertaining. Rollins does get the win, as we've stated here, with the curb stomp. Afterwards, he does it again, just for good measure, to show that he's the champ and all this lot. It's... Hopefully Neville doesn't have too many more matches like this. He needs a couple of...
I think this match was really well paced, though.
Yeah. I think...
Like, with the sort of, obviously, avoiding J&J at some point.
Yeah. I mean, some people may even argue, backing up your fact there, Matt, that he didn't even lose them. Rollins didn't even win the match clean. He had J&J security help him, Yeah. So at very least, you've got that for Neville there as well. So, yeah, I just want to reiterate, I'm not that annoyed. I don't like it. But it was still an entertaining match, so it's not the end of the world. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
John Cena against Mr. Sinister. Sorry, Stardust. And I will be stating that I am making a motion here on this show that I will make any reference to Stardust will now be waived, in fact, for Mr. Sinister, because he is Mr. Sinister.
Oh, yeah.
That's the way it is. So it seems to be going forward that Cena's going to be the fighting champion. We kind of expected that. He's going to be defending it against, mid-card talent and essentially beat them. I've already said my dislike of that. The one thing I will say here is that, at very least with Stardust, this is a guy that's going to be in mid-card. With Ambrose, a bit different. There's still chance of him being top-level talent. I don't really see that for Cody. I think he's fine where he is. And, oh, man, I said I think that Kofi Kingston's going to stay in the mid-card for the rest of his career. I just said the same about Cody. Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, so... but... Yeah, I mean, the fact is, the way that you can look at it... Go on.
No. Like, the one thing I'm quite liking is the fact that it's just like, it gives us an opportunity to see Cena wrestle more than just the other big five sort of thing.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. That's one of the notes I've made. It was refreshing to see him wrestle Stardust this week.
Yeah.
It was a clash of guys we haven't seen in a very, very long time.
Yeah.
So, no, I'm absolutely with you. And the fact that we could have... What's the other guys in that ladder match you might be saying, I don't want to see him facing against R-Truth. That would be horrendous.
No. We've already seen that.
Yeah. Maybe next week, Goldust gets a shot. We get a John Cena... I would love to see a Goldust John Cena match.
Yeah.
For the US title. I would love to see that match. So this is a platform that they could use... I mean, this was the match of the week, in my opinion. Right? This was a really, really fun match.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I mentioned it earlier, because we were talking about this, that I'm quite liking the way WWE are going is the fact it's like, we'll give you time. We're going to give this match some time.
Yeah.
Like, we're not going to rush it. We're not going to try and get 10 matches on this card. We'll go for 6.
Yeah.
So everyone gets another 5 minutes sort of thing.
Yeah, no, Cena at very least can they trust him with that time, Yeah. They ain't trusting Stardust with that time. They're trusting John Cena with that time. And you know what? That's okay. I'm all right with them getting this platform. Now, I don't want him to be beating like lots of new rising talent, and I still don't like the fact that 2 WrestleManias in a row he's beaten rising talent. I don't like the idea, but I can enjoy the matches for what they are, which they are entertaining matches. John Cena's had 2 back-to-back matches on Raw that have been very, very interesting, very good, highly competitive matches.
Yeah.
And
although I will admit, I don't know if you picked up on it. I'm pretty sure Cena was working stiff.
He was a bit, yeah. Yeah, no, I did pick up on that. I've got no problem with him working a little bit stiff.
There's a little bit stiff. I think right at the beginning, Cody caught him bad or something, but just I'm watching it, I'm like, oh. It's there's force in that.
Nah, yeah, I've got no problem. Obviously, going too stiff is obviously an issue, but no, I've got no problem with a little bit of bit of impact,
force. Yeah.
The one thing I would say here is that obviously Cena did talk before the match. He talked about the US title being a symbol of opportunity and a symbol of excellence, and maybe around his waist.
This is a symbol of opportunity, but you've got to come beat me.
Yeah. Around his waist, yeah, maybe. I tell you what, in terms of the US title picture, it does look a lot better with that belt around, even with Rusev around. At least it looked like it was around the waist of a proper champion who couldn't get beaten. Yeah. But in the last 5 years, that symbol has been largely of irrelevancy around the US title, and hopefully, at very least, at the end of this, once it's all said and done, and Cena's dropped the belt to someone, we can look at the US title and say, actually, it was in a better place now than when Cena took that belt. And if that is, then we can't say anything bad about the title reign.
I mean, there's one thing I'm not quite happy about it. It's just mostly with Cena himself. Is the fact that he still sort of goes face to face with the man who runs the place. He's still just but don't forget, I'm still John fucking Cena.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
It's this may be a mid-card belt. I may be facing mid-card guys, but I am John fucking Cena.
Yeah.
And I will eat everyone.
Yeah. Let's face it, he can fight. That he can go against the most mediocre of mid-card talent. At the end of the day, he still is John Cena. He can still do shows and do good work for that company. He's not mid-card. He will never be mid-card, John Cena. I think we had a question asked that before. You know, if he just constantly works with mid-card talent, drops down. John Cena ain't dropping down in his career. He'll finish as a top guy in the eyes of WWE. But yeah, it's the way it is. I'm just glad now that at very least that we can say positive things about this situation. You know, that we're getting good matches. That the belt is looking in a bit of a better place. That champions aren't losing on TV each week. That's a good thing. Yeah. And I'm not looking. Listen. People may get it wrong, right? People may think we try and look for things that are wrong and try and accentuate that. No, we're actually looking at things that are right, and we want to focus on that. If there's something right with this, we're going to focus on that way more than the things that are wrong. And hopefully, after Rusev is done with Cena, because he ain't beaten Cena for that belt, he's done. He can go on and do something else which is better. You know, and because he ain't getting better after the Cena thing, we just have to accept it now. Hopefully, afterwards, he can go on and do great stuff. Maybe even feud. I would say feud for the world title, but he's not going to be going heel on heel. But you get what I'm saying, you know. Hopefully, there's something for him now, but still.
That's it.
But yeah, great match. That springboard stunner, I think he needs to get rid of that. I think he's trying to not show off too much. I think it looks off. Yeah, I said it before.
I'm not convinced.
I'm not convinced of it. No, but hey, he's trying. You know, he said on the podcast, at very least, he tries to throw a few extra moves in there to put people off the 5 moves of doom. And I'm all for him at least trying to, at very least. Bellas versus Paige and Naomi. Now, I get the feeling, obviously we talked about earlier on about the AJ Lee void, right? And they're trying to fill that. If they for some reason fail at doing so, which they shouldn't, but if they fail at doing so, I do feel as if our portal to Bizarro World will start to close. And however, though, we're still in Bizarro World. It's awesome, and we get another good Divas match this week, a lengthy one as well.
Do you know one thing I realised though?
Go on.
I think Brie's worse than Nikki.
I would agree.
So I was just watching it, and I'm just like, ooh. For once, I thought like Brie could probably have been the better twin, but now I'm just like, no.
No, I mean, Brie obviously is playing second fiddle at the moment, but in terms of in ring, no, I completely agree with you. Nikki's doing better at the moment. Not to say that one of them is better than the other.
I guess talent isn't sexually transmitted.
Or maybe it is, because that's why they've got better since they, I don't know.
Well, but Brie hasn't, so.
What do you mean? It's not like she's still having sex with Brian. Of course she is.
No, but that's it. It's like no, they were going on the whole sexually transmitted. I guess it's not.
I get what you mean.
Brie would be better.
That's okay. It's the beer's getting to me, man. It's the beer's getting to me. That's what it is.
See, Trey. I'm not drinking.
Yeah, you're on the ball. Damn it, you're on the ball.
Saving it for Raw.
This match, however, was a little bit botchy, and there's been a few. People have picked up on it. There was one particular botch here when Naomi was going for her, like a, not Hurricane Runner, but, she thought...
Head thing, yeah.
Yeah, the head scissors, and for some reason Nikki did a back bump from it. Looking at it there, it looked like possibly she slipped or they slipped out of position. I don't know. It looked awful, And that was the only part. There was a few other parts here. I just think the Bellas are happy. They can have a in-ring malfunction. That's fine, as long as it's not a wardrobe malfunction, which they are, unfortunately,
prone to.
Unfortunately, both of these girls, we've both seen their tatas on Raw.
Yeah.
I don't like to bring that up. I'm just saying here it goes with the whole, botch stuff. But let's just hope they don't make that mistake again. Along those lines. They haven't in a while, at least, but still. So, Naomi wins this match after that botch. It was a bit of an ugly finish, but the match itself, I still think was entertaining.
It's quite surprised. Like, I saw one video bit, and it's just sort of like, I think her rear view or the rear ending or whatever it is. I think I like it, but I think it should definitely be on a rebound of a rope rather than just sort of like turn, spin, arse in face.
Yeah, the only thing I think about the move is that it's just, I think it's just a cheeky move, Just a cheeky move, to be honest.
Get it?
I know it's the same joke again, but
Yeah.
fills me with pride, fills me with joy. Come on, let's face it, it's a wonderful ass. I would take the rear view very happily. I know you would, Matt.
At least you know it's going to be cushioned.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But yeah, maybe, I don't know. It's just a weird finisher anyway, really, to be honest. But still.
To be fair, it's just like, you have a big ass. How can we incorporate your big ass?
But surely, the bigger the ass, as you say, the less damaging it would be. You know?
Yeah.
Smaller ass, bonier hips. You get my point where I'm going with this, you know? I don't know. Anyway, prime time players. They have a little backstage promo, or like vignette or whatever. Not vignette, just a little backstage video package with them. They put down the New Day and the Ascension. They're basically dressing up like them and telling that they absolutely suck and all this sort of stuff. And then they do the Millions of Dollars dance. Listen, these guys have got charisma. This particular video package maybe didn't show it that well, but they have charisma. I'm sure that they could pull off better segments than they did here. I can tell that they were going for entertaining, but they were kind of trying to do a little bit like what The Rock does, where he used to mock people and didn't really come off as well as that one.
Yeah, that's true.
But I will guarantee you that if they're on Raw, on London, me and Matt will be doing the primetime players, Millions of Dollars.
Oh, we'll be doing Millions of Dollars.
Of course we will.
That's a guarantee.
Because, primetime players, for some reason, they've got a hold over us, and we like the primetime players. And
maybe because they're unstoppable. Damn it, AW.
No, the ghost of AW. No. It's I'm glad for these guys. I've said before that I really hate the way that WWE's treated them, and I think Darren Young could have been utilized very well as a singles talent. But let's hope that they get used. Since they actually reformed, they've had probably less than 5 matches on television that I've actually seen. One of them being with the Ascension, which they beat, and it did neither team any good. That's the brunt of it there, which is a bit of a shame. I actually think that the primetime players, given the choice, can be very charismatic. But hopefully they get another choice in the future. This was a little bit off the mark, but they've got charisma. They have got charisma. Luke Harper versus Ryback. And you said that you're quite happy, Matt. We talked about this a little bit before the show. That you're quite happy to see Ryback back in the, ipso facto main event scene.
Yeah.
I would say. I still think it's a little bit sad to see that the fans aren't reacting to him the way that he was being reacted to when he was treated like the hottest free agent on Raw, when the Authority or Team Cena were trying to get him. Remember the fan response? He was treated like he was the key to everything. And obviously since then they've not done nearly as well. But he's getting fan response. He's still getting people chanting for him. But when he came out during that point, people will go mental for Ryback again. But now it's just like, it's just Ryback sort of thing. I think it's the way that they just treated him after that Survivor Series, that all the heat from the guy that they managed to build over no time whatsoever.
Yeah, over a night.
Yeah, and it's all gone. Because they just been treated like he's not really part of the picture, which is a shame. And I think it's a shame, even still going forward, that as much as he's involved in this match, it's quite likely that the only match he'll be involved in is a meaningless nothing match at Extreme Rules. That's if he gets a match, which is a real shame.
Yeah.
There we are. Probably in a tag match with Roman Reigns or something like against Kane and Big Show. Something really, really boring like that.
It sounds dirty and I don't want anything to do with it.
Doesn't it? It's just like a match I've got absolutely no time for, unfortunately.
How does that taste? That tastes bitter.
Tastes a bit bitter. Yeah, that's not my beer. That's not my beer.
Don't want it.
Yeah, that's it. He gets the victory here. Gets the shell shock. It's an okay match. Nothing particularly that great, which is a shame because we know Luke Harper can go. I know Ryback has got a good match in him, maybe not as much as Harper, but this match wasn't particularly that great, in my opinion. Renee Young are backstage with the New Day. She asks their reaction with the fans saying that they suck. It's the new chant now. They go, New Day, and everyone goes, sucks, because they suck. That's the way it is. They say they clap or they snap. Crackle and pop.
Oh, they're getting threatening. I'm still not buying it.
Big E then randomly tells a story of a kid asking for his autograph, even though he said that he sucks. And Big E did it anyway, because that's the kind of guy he is. Oh, no, sorry, he did it because they clap. Now, it makes me think that maybe they've been brainwashed or something, or they were serial murderers, and the only way they could get reformed is by clapping, and it signals something for them to be good, R-Truths. I mean, good New Days.
Oh no,
Yeah.
don't. Why did you do that? Because I'm a good truth.
Suddenly that Capital Punishment DVD's looking at you.
Oh, that was from that, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, it was from the build-up to that, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm a good R-Truth. That's when he was dressing up. Oh, God. Let's not
sick.
Let's not think of it.
I feel sick at the thought.
Yeah, I know, right? I bet it's looking at you right now, isn't it? With evil eyes, red eyes. Right?
I'm not looking at it.
Yeah. But I tell you what, it's astonishing how quickly this team has failed to be baby faces. It's actually quite astonishing. The fact they've gone down. They are going heel, obviously. They are going. Well, they technically are heel now anyway.
They kind of have to.
They have to, because people have turned on them. It's just funny that this just did not work as it was intended to. Or if it was intended to, then it's still really not going that well for them. But there we are. Lucha Dragons against the New Day. That is the match that's next. There was a really odd purple camera shot in the start of this match that was just a bit eye-jarring. It burned my eyes out for a second.
Oh, what? From the inside of the turnbuckle?
Yeah, it was like, okay.
Yeah, I got confused by that.
They quickly switched it. But it just adds to another list of WWE and their camera mistakes just the last couple of months. Just very unlike them for some reason. I don't know why they're doing it. Every now and then you just get a camera angle that shows like a dark part of the arena, or you get a camera angle that just doesn't work in this case, and it's just odd. I don't know why they're doing it. It's obviously I know why they're doing it. It's just you wouldn't expect it. This is WWE,
Yeah, I've got the Lucha Dragons entrance music stuck in my head at the moment. I don't know why. So those and then the Lucha Dragons, and I was like, ding, 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 ding.
Yeah, that's it. Well, at least it's not Alexa Bliss's, which for some reason I've got that stuck in my head.
Sparkle.
Yeah, let's not go there into the dark recesses of my mind. So yeah, New Day have flipped the switch. They are going heel to a point that Kofi Kingston attacked one of the Lucha Dragons with the referee not looking, and Xavier Woods at first looked like he was appalled, and then he smiled afterwards.
It's like, ah.
That's it. However, with all this cheating that they were doing, they still lose. New Day, Lucha Dragons beat them. Sin Cara gets the win via the Swanton Bomb, and Kalisto looks just as good as he did this week than he did last week. The guy's got a bright future. He really does.
Oh yeah, definitely. It looks just like it was like there's a moment I think they seem to forget on the commentary that he actually did strike the what do they call it? It's not the Cirque du Soleil, but it's the
Céline du Sol.
The Céline du Sol, that's it. He struck that. It was just like, meh. And here comes Sin Cara. It's like, no, like Kalisto has struck his finisher, damn it.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, but the main thing that I'm happy about this is that Kalisto's coming off like a real cool attraction. He's really coming off like a guy that is really entertaining, and they're getting wins. I tell you what, Sin Cara ain't looking as bad. It's just that we know Sin Cara isn't the key in this team. It's Kalisto. He's the guy that will break off and become something. Yeah. So,
he's the one making money for the team.
Yeah. And you know what? It's fine the way the Lucha Dragons at the moment are working fine. Arguably, I find them more entertaining on the main roster than I do in NXT, and there ain't that many people I can say that about, right?
Yeah.
That come from. Do I enjoy the Wyatts more on the Raw roster than I do NXT? Maybe sometimes, at least on the NXT roster, they were treated like badasses. Bo Dallas, I enjoyed him way more in NXT without question. Ascension enjoyed them way more in NXT. Yeah.
Hang on, Bo Dallas.
Yeah.
I don't know who you're referring to.
Exactly. So yeah, that's the thoughts on that. But Kalisto doing great. Really glad to see it. And you know what? I would not have thought that I would feel more comfortable about Kalisto's chances than I would Neville's at the same part of their career going forward. I thought Neville would fly.
What?
Yeah, I feel much more comfortable saying that Kalisto's going to be a big star for them than I do Neville, which I don't like to say because I love Neville. You know I do, compatriot of ours. But I don't know. I just feel like WWE just don't know. I don't think they know how to use him. I don't know. With Kalisto, they got a blueprint. Rey Mysterio. There you go.
True.
Yeah, it's something that works, something that's really entertaining, a real plus to their programming, something they've done before. Yeah, exactly. And I think they want him.
Point.
I think they want him to be the new Mysterio. That's what they want for him. They want him to be that role in their company. You know.
Yeah.
They expected Mystico Sin Cara to do that for them, and they've now not been able to do that. Maybe with Kalisto they can get that. I feel Kalisto is much safer, and he's more what WWE want than Mystico ever was. So there we are. Roman Reigns versus The Big Show. Of all the matches to book,
sigh.
Yeah.
Oh, how can Roman Reigns possibly beat The Big Show? It's like, I don't know, probably the same way he did only a few months ago when they were feuding.
Yeah, just before the Royal Rumble. Yeah, do we not forget the big spear that Reigns did on Big Show? I mean, even when they haven't been having matches with each other, Reigns has been fighting Big Show for the better part of like 6 months. You know, it's just getting really boring at this point. Come on, of all the people you could have paired him up with, Jesus, Big Show. He's like one of those things now. It's just you can't do it. You know, but they did. We've seen this match before. It's not that much different, except the fact they're doing this thing now. When Reigns gets beaten up, he smiles, likes it, and apparently that, fuels him for the fight going forward.
Triggers something that makes him dangerous, I think.
That's it. He does win this match, Reigns, as you would expect, via the spear. The crowd were hot on this guy. They liked him. They liked Reigns here on this.
It's like
crowd.
He's such an odd character, isn't he? It's all like 1 minute he's being booed out of the building, and the next minute the building will literally tear the crowd will tear the people. The crowd will tear the building down. There we go.
Yeah.
To sort of see him.
Yeah. Like the only thing I can kind of equate it to, which is something a bit different, it's not really the same, is Bret Hart being a heel in the US but being a uber babyface in Canada, which was a really fun time.
But at least you kind of knew where that it would be in Canada.
Yeah,
you
could book it accordingly, couldn't you? You know, you can make
That's it. But like with Reigns at the moment, it's just sort of like we'll just have to play it by ear, I suppose.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. Now the crowd loved him here, man. I think they hoped that Reigns would get that reaction with the Mania crowd, which of course he wasn't going to. And coming up to London, he'll probably get booed again. But there we are.
Reckon?
Yeah, I think so. I think he'll get booed.
You reckon we'll boo him?
I think we'll. Well, we won't boo him. You know, we've made our thoughts known about Reigns. We're not that against him, but I think that the Brits will boo him. But, yeah. At the very least, we'll get the John Cena sucks song, which
definitely
the Brits gave to everyone.
Yeah,
Reigns wins this match, but who could fuck cares? It's Big Show. Yeah, Jesus.
Oh, the most powerful, big giant guy. It's like, oh, really?
It's just the fact that, Matt, as you said there, right? They're trying to bill over on commentary. How can he beat him? It's going to be such a fight between these two. We've seen it before. We've seen what these guys can do. They're not capable of that much more.
One versus the other. Oh, let me just think back 4 months. Oh, cool. Done it.
That's it.
Could have at least, just swapped, Big Show and Kane, so we could have seen Reigns versus Kane.
Yeah, even then there wouldn't have been.
I know we've seen it, but
yeah, but it wouldn't have been that much of a again sort of thing. You know,
yeah,
they've got a huge roster. They've got no excuses. If they don't have to have him fight. Well, Ryback fought Luke Harper, right? They could have had him fight. Someone different. They could have had someone different. They chose Big Show. No idea why, but there we are. Kane is backstage. He's greeted by the Divas division, who are, upset that they don't, have a chance at the title. They want Kane to make a Divas Battle Royal for next week in London, which will name the number one contender. He goes, okay, fair enough, I'll do it. Just get out of my office. He looks like they gave him a headache. I tell you, I feel him sometimes, considering, since you started this podcast. Not so much recently.
Cameron was there, I was like, get the fuck out.
We've had a few headaches from these women on the show before, let's just say that. So
It's like, great, they're resorting them to just being slutty flirts to get what they want.
Do you know what's a bit annoying as well? And it's Natalia who does this a lot, right? And she's done this before. It's one of the things I hate about what she does. Sometimes she gets competitive, right? The way that she's booked. Sometimes she does the thing of, oh, these girls in this on this in this division are great girls, and I wish them all the best.
But then sometimes she's also like, but I'm a heart, and you're all nothing to me.
Which is the way she should be. What I didn't like here is that essentially he said, okay, all of you get a chance at the Battle Royal. What is the first thing Natalia does? She high-fives one of the girls. Sorry.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, we can do it.
Yeah.
Go team. It's like, surely you want to win it yourself.
Yeah, yeah. How about instead of high-fiving her, punch her in the face, knock her out so she can't get there next week? That's the kind of stuff we want to see, right? Instead of you going, oh, fantastic, we did it. Give Divas a chance. We're all getting a chance. No, you want your chance. That's what you're supposed to be gunning for.
That's it. Fuck what Rosa Mendez and fuck what Cameron wants.
Yeah, exactly. I just thought it was very strange, but there we are. Not strange. I just don't like the way they do it. They do it sometimes. They make, oh, the girls are so great and stuff like this. It's like, no, come on. Try and put yourself over. It's not the division you're trying to get better. It's yourself. Come on.
Like, sell yourself. God damn it.
I know.
Like, you're one of the biggest wrestling families, and you're just like, you've been so proud of that fact, but now it's just like, yeah, but all the girls. Like, no, do you not want the belt? Like, you've been pissing and moaning enough that you want the belt.
Act like you want it more than everyone else.
That's it.
Rather than, I've got an opportunity, everyone has an opportunity, and we're all happy. That's not what competitiveness is. Yeah.
However, there may be some NXT girls at this Battle Royale. As I have heard.
Fingers crossed.
So rumours would have you believe.
Yes. Man, I would be very happy to see Charlotte and Sasha there, but I'll put my fingers crossed. I'm not expecting that. But...
Yeah.
So, Renee Young speaks to Roman Reigns backstage. He says, we're going to have to wait to see what he does next. And that's the entire...
Yeah. Like, what are your plans? Like, well, find out.
Yeah.
Thanks, Roman!
It was an interview that was that short. I wonder why Renee Young, with the look of her face, that she's desperately trying to get hold of Roman Reigns to see what he feels. It's like, why?
That's a waste of my fucking time.
Yeah. Just wait until I see what you do next. Okay. Would you like to allude it? Would you like to...
I was just wondering that myself anyway.
Yeah. I'm sure that's what Renee Young was going to ask you. What are you going to do next? Or are you going to have to see what I do next? What? It's just random. But these I think it's more of a thing that they have a big show. They want to break up with small little segments. I just hate it because they're so forgettable and they're useless.
Yeah.
Sometimes irrelevant and completely just dumb. And this is one of those ones that falls under that bracket. It was just so short. I was like, okay, he's going to say something. Oh, it's over.
He didn't really say much.
Yeah.
And Renee has to look happy about it.
Yeah, look as if she...
Oh, thanks, Roman!
She got exactly what she wanted from Roman from that conversation. Really? Okay. Easily pleased, I think. Dean Ambrose must have a great time giving you loads of, Valentine's gifts. He just gives you whatever you want. You're just, oh, yeah, that's great. Thank you. Sheamus versus Mark Henry. This is where we could see, for full effect this time, Sheamus' new entrance, which I do think is quite cool. Even though it does look like when the lights come on. So basically what happens, all the lights are off. It comes on with his music, and the camera zooms up to him. He's got his hands out. He shouts, "Fella!" And it looks, unfortunately, when he had his eyes closed here, that he literally just blown his load. Right? The lights are coming. Fella! And he's just absolutely...
And I'm spent.
Yeah, and he doesn't even have to go to the ring. He's done, Has to change his pants. Honestly, watch it again. It just looks like he's just like, oh, fella. I'm not going to look at that entrance the same way now. I'm just going to think that he's...
I think it would probably be a bit more... intimidating if he just didn't yell fella.
Well, if he just screamed out a primal scream or something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
It's just like, yeah, fella, I just came in my pants. Fantastic. It's
I don't know. I just think fella. It's like fella's such a friendly word, isn't it?
Yeah. But still, it's... That's the only thing I can think of now. He grabs the mic beforehand anyway and says that we all need to appreciate him for being a real man, and he just showed how much of a man he is by blowing his load, when he came to the ring.
Yeah, I am a man. See?
Yeah.
Look, ejaculate.
Here's my sperm. Do you not see the man I am? And he says that he's a warrior in a world full of insects, and he's alluding to Dolph Ziggler and Daniel Bryan. And there isn't many people in the WWE his size, despite the fact WWE is kind of full of people.
Despite everyone, his size.
But there we are. This brings out Mark Henry, obviously bigger than him, as we do know. The hometown man. Sheamus initially tries to walk away, he says he doesn't deal with has-beens, but he gets thrown back into the match. And then Sheamus then proceeds to essentially just beat Mark Henry in a very boring match. So
yeah, I don't know whose fault that is for it being a boring match. Partly Mark's.
Maybe Mark. It looks like me that Mark Henry's good, right? He can be great on the mic when he wants to be, but when he's got nothing going for him, he just looks like a guy with no inspiration. That's just the only thing.
Proper wound down.
Yeah. And if you gave him a program, he actually works it really well. I still looked at that retirement speech and I just clap. I'm like, Mark, you got everyone. You got everyone. There's not many moments where I'm legitimately like, you got me. You got me with this. Yeah. So I was like, that segment, I was just like, you fucking got me here. You really did, but that was cool. But yeah, Mark Henry, he's got a great promo in him. Just, they trot him out there, do job to Sheamus. That's pretty much what he's there for. The one thing I will say about Sheamus, he needs to pipe down a little bit and kick a little bit more ass, and maybe this whole barbarian thing can work that he's got going for him.
Yeah.
But at the moment,
cut his hair.
He looks like a barbarian, and he speaks a little bit like a pussy. Talking about insects in this modern world. It's like, no, as a barbarian, you should go with, I'm Sheamus, you come down here, I kill you.
Yeah. Your teeth, I will kick.
Yeah. And I'll be dirty. I'll break the rules. I don't care. That's just me. I'm Sheamus. He shouldn't be going out there and trying to tell us about the modern world and how he's a man, a warrior in the modern world full of insects. It's just, no. Do you talk?
I was going to say, one name, CJ Parker. Let's drop the I am a warrior of the world.
Who got released, as we know. But, yeah. I think the Sheamus stuff, a lot of people are very much against this whole Sheamus thing. He's at very least interesting. He is. Like, that whole different change, the new entrance, I think is cool, despite the, what I said earlier on, which I'm sure now will be in a lot of people's mind when they watch now. But still, I'm sorry for breaking that for you guys, but there we are. Moving forward, Bray Wyatt. I would like to call Bray Wyatt the loser, because that's what he is. Unfortunately. Does that break your heart a little bit that I call him that, Matt?
I know.
I know it does.
But he still refers to him as the new face of fear.
Yeah.
But you lost.
Apparently he would only be the new face of fear if he destroyed The Undertaker. Apparently it doesn't matter because he's still calling himself that anyway. So, and he calls out another random guy who will likely probably beat him, but there we are. He says that fear is the greatest power of all. And I'd say, well, not really, because you can't fucking win a match. So, not that big of a
thing. The thing is, I was trying to figure out, I was like, who is he on about? And I was like, oh, you parade around asking, hoping for people to accept you or something. I was
like the dedication. He's probably talking about.
Yeah, I was like, Ziggler? But then Sheamus came, because I watched the Wyatt promo on YouTube prior to actually seeing it on Raw.
Yeah.
So I was just like, is he on about Ziggler? But then.
You know what I would do?
But then out came Sheamus, and he's just like, no, fuck you all, I'm gonna, my biggest problem is with people like Ziggler. I was like, oh, so Sheamus is gonna feud. Yeah. Who are you talking about?
Yeah. But you know what? Earlier on when Bray Wyatt would do this, I would be like, oh, who is he? And I'd be very interested. Now I'm just like, I'm not even that, I don't really care that much now. It's just the way that he's been dealt with. He's a loser. Bray Wyatt, guys, is a loser. He talks all this stuff about how powerful he is, and then he loses matches. Right? It's got to me now. That's the way I look at his character. And I fucking hate the way I look at it that way. But come on. He loses all of his fucking stuff. He lost against Cena at WrestleMania. Lost against Undertaker. He had a fucking horrific 2014. This year hasn't been that much better for him, let's just say it. He lost against Undertaker. Now he's apparently still saying that he's this big guy. So at some point, they're going to have to book Bray Wyatt. Yeah, he can talk the talk, but then he can walk the walk as well. At the moment, they've booked him that he can't. The only way that he beat Ambrose was by Ambrose being a fucking idiot. That's the only way he beat him. I just hate the fact that Bray Wyatt. I look at Bray Wyatt now like a loser. I just fucking hate it. He's so cool, but he's a loser. Dude,
Yeah.
you know what I'm getting at here? Like I'm just like, I don't really care now what you're involved
That's
in.
it. It's like, okay.
Yeah. Imagine if he had beaten The Undertaker and he's on this run. Okay, I've crushed The Undertaker, and now I'm calling out someone else who I'm going to crush them. I'd be very much. Oh, who's he going to talk about? Who's he going to be in a rivalry now? Who's he going to go on? No, I don't care. I just don't care about what Wyatt's doing, and it's by nothing that he's done himself. That's the most painful thing. He's done fine. Putting on the way that Wyatt's been handled has been the problem. Wyatt himself has been absolutely fine, but there we are. But yeah, I don't care who he calls out. I'm sure we'll find out soon. I'm not that bothered, but there we are.
It's sounding very samey, though.
It does, doesn't it? Which is a shame. Renee Young talks with Ryback backstage. Ryback says that it's a big opportunity, one that he's hoping to take, and he's hungry for the WWE Tag Championship. And it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, obviously, for getting his bunch of WWE title shots that he had when he first started rising, but still.
Shh.
Yeah.
They didn't happen.
Yeah, of course. Kayfabe. Not even kayfabe, it's consistency, but still. But yeah, he's the one guy in that triple threat match I had absolutely no thought would win. And I was right on that fact, of course, but there we are.
Yeah.
Here we go. Here's a talking point. The Miz versus Damien Mizdow.
I know.
Here
so
we
soon.
go. You want to talk about matches. You want to talk about matches that should have arguably been on the pay-per-view. I would argue this was a pay-per-view worthy match. Perfectly serviceable. At very least for a pre-show match. At very fucking least. But they decided to do it on Raw. And you may be asking, why would they do that? Why would they waste this match when it could go on a pay-per-view? You know what? I have the answer to that. Because they're idiots.
False finish.
Well, no, come on, it wasn't a false finish. He won.
He pulled the tights.
He won. I don't think they're gonna go. I don't think they're gonna make it so Mizdow demands another match with him. You know, I don't think. I think this was the end of it. I honestly think this ain't going that further. And it's very unfortunate that they don't
say that. I want more Mizdow.
Yeah.
Actually, no. I want Damien Sandow back. But there we go.
Now, the one way
I know we were eating our words after which, like, I really fucking hate this. And after we had to admit that we were wrong.
Yeah, well, we admitted that, didn't we? Well, the thing I think that the one way they could do this is they have another match, right? Between Miz and Mizdow next week. Miz beats him completely clean, right? Leaves him, and you're thinking, Tony, what the fuck are you talking about? What are you doing? But he comes out with the Mizdow stuff. He comes out with all this. And then what you do the week afterwards, you have Mizdow come out, he looks broken, he looks forlorn, he's like thinking to himself, maybe I am everything the Miz says. Maybe I am useless without him. But then maybe he comes to a realization that the reason why he's being beaten by the Miz is because he's still Mizdow. That he's still copying the Miz. The only way that he can be better than Mizdow is be becoming his own man again. And you go to the gimmick that he's going to go on. I don't mind whatever gimmick it is, whatever they think is going to work. You make the gimmick going forward. You set that match for Extreme Rules. Damien Sandow comes back, whatever gimmick you want to do, and he beats Miz. With his new trainer thought, I'm not Mizdow anymore. Because I think the Mizdow train is gone. That's done. Right? I don't think he's going to get anything more from this Mizdow train. He needs to transfer it now, whatever he's got left from it, into something long term. Because what he's got at the moment is fizzling out very fucking quick. Much quicker than I thought. I thought you'd at least get a month out of it. It's not getting that far. You know? Are you under the same sort of thought?
No, I could buy into that.
Yeah. Because he's got to have a gimmick going forward. He's got to have some sort of identity. He can't be Mizdow for the next 6 months. You've got to give him something to work off of. So that way you could build it that Mizdow can't beat the Miz as Mizdow. You know, he needs to be his own person. He needs to rebirth himself. You know,
needs to be his own guy again.
Yeah, he needs to be his own guy again, and then we'll go from that. And he obviously will continue as a babyface. There's no point in doing all of that and then turning him heel. No, that's fine. You can do whatever gimmick you want to do with him, but he has to be babyface going forward. Miz, as you say, does get the win with the tights. It's a mare match. It's not that great. But hopefully, the thing is though, with all that stuff I've said, I don't think they will do it. In fact, I'll be very shocked if they do. I think this is it. And isn't that heartbreaking to say that this is it for Mizdow?
That's it.
Yeah, very sad. Backstage, Renee Young speaks to Randy Orton. Orton says that he will mow down anyone who stands in his way, and that he'll beat Rollins for the belt at Extreme Rules. Essentially everything he said earlier on in the night, just in this filler promo. So, the Renee Young promos for you, ladies and gentlemen, they nonsensical sometimes.
They serve no purpose.
They serve no purpose, except for being filler, essentially. But there we are. This leads to the main event, last segment of the night, which was a very, very quick match. I looked at my timer of this and I thought...
Was it for all of like 5 minutes?
Yeah, I was like, there's not even that much time left on this show. I mean, how quickly can you do this match? It was a quick match. It did have some good action, but they could have had longer. I think they could have had longer. They could have made this a really kick-ass match if they hadn't needed all of them to do double duty. But there we are. Could you imagine this being like a 30-minute match of real intrigue and you're wondering then who is really going to win this match? Because I like matches where I'm not sure who they are going to win it. Obviously, I didn't think Ryback was, but I thought that Orton and Reigns at very least had a decent shot each. But
yeah.
But there we are. It's not long until the Authority come out. Literally like 2 minutes into the match, they come out. They get involved. And
of course.
With all the distractions and everything, Orton ends up getting the RKO on Ryback and then pins him to win the match. And then straight away, just as he looks like he's going to celebrate, he gets curb stomped by the WWE Champion, Seth Rollins, who ends the show on a high. So we know Rusev and Cena will have a match, the third one, at Extreme Rules. We're going to have another WrestleMania rematch. I mean, this one's a little bit more interesting because it's for the belt, but with Orton and Rollins. I dislike how they keep going to a lot of rematches at the moment. They seem to be playing that same... Hell, with the Reigns and Big Show stuff they did this week. You know, that's the kind of stuff...
Well, I think Extreme Rules is sort of destined to be the WrestleMania rematch pay-per-view, though.
Yeah, to a degree. Yeah. At very least, they can get away with something that they got Barrett against Bryan, which I think is, at very least, that's new and could be a real good match. Yeah,
I get what you mean.
The card for Extreme Rules though doesn't look that good. It doesn't look that good. If they do that idea with Mizdow, then that could be a real cool match to watch. But if it isn't, then I argue, why didn't you just save it for the pay-per-view? Even if it was just going to be a filler match, at very least to be one that had a long-term story behind it. You know, they just wasted it on Raw, and I do get the feeling they wasted it. But there we are. All in all, our review of the show is that it was a mid-monther. That's our review of the show, and unfortunately it wasn't very good. I thought this show committed the cardinal sin of too often being rehashed or just flat out being boring. And there was a few good matches to watch, but all in all, was nowhere near the quality of last week's Raw. Nowhere close. And it was a little bit of a statement, I think, of the Raws we're going to get in the future. Which makes for grim thinking, but still. What's your thought on the Raw as a whole?
Yeah.
I think that's a pretty good review of it, to be honest.
I think this is the worst part is because I was just sort of like, oh, and they're all going to fight in triple... I think commentary would push in these sort of singles matches that they were in as if they were qualifiers, which they weren't.
Yeah.
Like, at no point did they say, oh, he needs to win. No, when was that ever said?
Yeah, like... I mean, the best way to go about it would be I would say nothing bad against the guys if they decided just to walk out of the ring, get counted out, and be fresh for the main event.
Yeah.
That's what an intelligent person does.
That's it. I'm in the main event. I don't have to win this.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's just, yeah. No, I get exactly what you mean. And they were trying to get it over as if they needed to win all these matches. For all intents and purposes, all three of the guys could have lost all their matches clean, and they still go into the main event.
Yeah.
It makes no sense, yeah, a little bit, but...
I think because we had like Reigns and Big Show again. I just found it a bit lacking.
It lacked the really excitable moments we've been maybe grown a little bit too accustomed to over the last couple of weeks. Unfortunately,
yeah, where it's actually been, oh my god, this has actually almost been shocking. Like, I really enjoyed watching I really enjoyed watching like Neville and Rollins. I thought that was a really good match and like really strong. And yeah, okay, I get the sort of the worry of, well, has he just been fed to the champion already? But I don't have that worry.
Okay, fair enough. So I still found the match enjoyable. I'm not saying.
Oh, it's really good. If anything, it really did get Neville over strong. to use that terminology all over again. Go out there and make him look strong.
Yeah.
But yeah,
They had the Cena match as well. That's always a plus. I thought that match was
the Cena match was good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm quite liking this whole open challenge. It's just if they just drop the fact it's like the man that runs the place, BS.
I get what you mean. But I think overall, in terms of a review of the show, it was, I think, a bit more indicative of how WWE, their usual product is.
Yeah, rather than what they've been over the past few weeks.
A lot of the fun, entertaining stuff, unfortunately, was just stripped away for this show, and it showed very early on, but there we are. So, do you want to catch this week's Raw? I could stay. You could probably give this Raw a miss. Really, honestly, you could.
Yeah, it hasn't really added it. It hasn't really given anything. No. I mean, it's given us the main event for Extreme Rules, but man, that could have been we saw that coming a mile off. It's like, oh yeah, Randy Orton's gonna is in a match to find out who's gonna main event Extreme Rules. It's like, well, I wonder who that's gonna be then.
Yeah. No, I get what you mean. Yeah, you could miss this show, guys. Honestly, I think that you can miss this. You can get updates of what happens next week. So if you're honestly that desperate about, should I watch Raw? Nah, skip this week, guys. It's not really that worth it. With that firmly in our thoughts, though, that is this week done. We're out for this week. We obviously told you all the stuff at the start of the show in terms of us being at the show live next week, so things will be a little bit different. Any updates? Obviously, if you want to catch any, we're going to be putting up videos. We're going to be putting up pictures, all on the Twitter handle, which is @TalkWrestlePod. So if you haven't followed us on there, do that now, so you don't forget, and you'll be finding loads of stuff on Monday of us tweeting and thoughts about it there. And like I said, we're even going to maybe do a quick vlog of us being there, showing the way it looks and everything like that. So yeah, we'll have all that juicy stuff up on the Twitter handle. With Matt's glorious phone that's like a TV, but we'll go.
Leave my phone out of this.
Yeah, leave your phone out of it, yeah. If you did enjoy this episode, though, then please subscribe to the channel. You can also leave a like on the video if you like. Not integral, but you can if you want. If you'd like to ask us any questions, you can leave them in the comment section below or on our Twitter handle, which is, again, @TalkWrestlePod. And apart from that, we will catch you guys next week, where we will talk about our live experience being at Monday Night Raw in London itself. It will be an interesting episode. Anything else you want to say?
No, I've not got anything else to add.
Except maybe you're going to be looking even further to see Ambrose is a clone next week. Are you going to be doing that?
I think I need to find it if there's a tell.
Yes, you need to find a switch or something underneath his shirt or something.
I don't know, or maybe if a Hitman style barcode or something.
Yeah. That's what you need to look for. Who knows? I might just Photoshop one in for you, just for you.
Yeah.
All right then, guys, we are done for this week. Hope you have a great week, and who knows, you may even see us on TV. We'll catch you guys then. One final thing: if you are at Raw, then please tweet us. We would love to meet you there. We'd love to say hi and have a picture taken with you. Fuck it, even if you're not going to the O2 and you're in London, come down, say hi to us if you want to. I don't know, but yeah, if you are, let us know on Twitter. So, all right, guys, catch you guys next time. Hope you have a great week.
See you around.
Bye-bye.
Bye.